The ideal Southern California business is the kind that is not affected by global trends, by political events, or by changes in government regulation. This kind of independence can only be the result of careful planning and sound management. And I'm glad to say we've located an enterprise that is just so managed. This imposing concern, located on Anaheim Street in the city of Long Beach, has weathered the winds of uncertainty these 40 years. It was in 1926 that Joe Jost Sr. opened his combination cafe, pool room, barber shop, and tavern, choosing to do this in the middle years of Prohibition. Mr. Jost was no Volstead violator. He avoided the fury of people like Eliot Ness by serving nothing stronger than near beer during his first 7 years. But health inspectors forced him to close his barber shop in 1933. This crushing disappointment was eased by the passage of repeal, which enabled Jost to serve real beer. This he began to dispense in liberal amounts. Now Mr. Jost Jr. regulates the flow at 250 kegs a month. For years, Mr. Jost and his son served the closest thing to a free lunch anywhere in Long Beach for 2 bits. You got cheese, dill pickle, and Polish sausage on rye bread. The tavern made a pricing experiment in 1946, testing the market by suddenly charging 30 cents for this house special. There was no drastic drop in sales then, nor was there later when beer was boosted a nickel a glass. This progressive tactic was accompanied by wise diversification, leading to large sale corn cob pipes and chewing tobacco, corn curls and potato chips, all enticingly displayed. The sale of salty delicacies leads to thirst, which leads to the sale of more beer and near beer and root beer in an ever-increasing cycle. Another revenue producer is the pickled egg. Joe Jost Jr., who runs the place now that his father is retired, sells 37 dozen pickled eggs a day. Knowing that hunger and thirst are sharpened by the right kind of exercise, Joe Jost maintains a recreational facility at the rear of the tavern. This allows the athletes of the neighborhood to polish their skills and strive toward greatness. The management allows them to pay for the privilege, which puts one more prop under the tavern's economy, while making Joe Jost a prime center of competitive sport. In one other way, the Josts have demonstrated their fondness for healthy competition and also their determination to survive the whims of government. Competitive poker was a big attraction within these walls until 1940, when it was outlawed by city ordinance. By curious arrangement, Joe Jost was allowed to keep his poker license, which he renews every year. His is the only poker license in Long Beach. Now, it does not permit actual play, but if poker is legalized, Joe wants to be ready. With similar foresight, he keeps a large supply of near beer. Prohibition is still a fresh and bitter memory, and if it is ever reimposed, Joe wants to be ready for that, too. Many customers, though, come in not to drink nor to wait around for legalized poker, but just to fraternize and pass the time of day. Since it became a fashionable haunt for Long Beach State College students, Joe Jost has become a meeting ground for old and young. Many a student, turned 21, has ordered his first beer in this place, and it's sentimental to note, but nonetheless true, that many an older patron has ordered his last beer in this place. The tavern closes at 11 p.m. It serves nothing stronger than beer, and debauchery is kept at a minimum. It has to be, if only for the reason that 2 regular customers arrive every day on that tandem bicycle. If they were to tumble off on their way home, the word would get all over town, and Joe Jost would get a bad name. And it doesn't want that. It's spent 40 years building up the good name it has. So we see that even this one enterprise is not completely invulnerable. It is still sensitive, in a way, to these outside business trends. The tavern in Long Beach has weathered out the poker ban. It can probably survive even if beer and billiards are outlawed. But one thing leads to another, And if the government decides to prohibit root beer or slaps a ban on rye bread and pickled eggs or abolishes conversation or the riding of tandem bicycles, Joe Jost will not last out the next 40 years.